And welcome back to the True Patriot Podcast, folks. We are super stoked today to have with us none other than professional angler Doug Chapin. Doug, thank you so much, man, for joining us here.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Well, for our little show, man, it's when guys like you can scrounge up some time in your extremely busy schedule. It means a ton to us and to the viewers for sure. One of the reasons why this is an extra special one is because a lot of our viewers are really tied into the nonprofit world, veteran community world, the angling world, and you, sir, represent both of those. You are a U.S. Army veteran, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. And you are currently fishing in the NPFL, National Professional Fishing League. Connection between those two. I mean, one of the pieces, that we work with is how fishing, is just part of being, getting outdoors, so on and so forth, and how it connects. But now you're taking this to the next level, man, because you're adding in the stress of being a professional angler to this. So, give us what does a day in the life of Doug Chapin look like these days here with that schedule? Just your average day.
Well, in the off season, it's pretty hectic, rounding up partners for the next year and doing all that. But the typical day on the road, I guess, would be a lot of driving. And, I spend a lot of time on the water when I'm in limbo between tournaments. I try to fish as many bodies of water as I possibly can. There's a lot of guys who have a lot more experience than I do when it comes to fishing, and I need to catch up. And fishing bodies of water that I'm not used to, like big rocky reservoirs. I'm from Wisconsin. We have milfoil, oil, and we have some rocky. We have a variety of a lot of things in Wisconsin, but we don't have purely rock-based fisheries. And I think, fishing other bodies of water is definitely going to up your game. So I've concentrated a lot on that. Social, huge part of my day-to-day routine. I got to make sure I'm putting up. There's a lot of people that follow me and actually care what I'm doing now, it's really because there's a lot of people that put stuff on social media just hoping people will care, but it's getting to the point where people actually care what I'm doing, and it's really cool. But I got to make sure I'm putting up valuable content, and trying to give some other aspects other than just fish pictures all the time, so people can see behind the scenes a little bit. And I'm working towards an ultimate goal, actually, of being able to hire a videographer to do a kind of behind the scenes. There's a few anglers that do it now, but I want to go more in depth and show a little more of the realistic side of the tournament industry and how the struggle can be. There's a lot of emotional moments. There's a lot of things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis that don't really get talked about or seen. And that's something that's one of my goals to work to. So
that's awesome stuff, man. And you touched on several pieces there that I feel for you completely, as I not competing at the level you're competing at. I mean, I don't have as much on the line, but as far as the difference between that natural, habitat of lakes compared to the man-made reservoirs, it is different, man. I mean, the old saying I was, brought to, find the grass, you find the bass. Well, what happens when there's no dang grass around, or at least no good grass, that you can attach to. So yeah, there's a culture shock there. The other piece that you hit on for those of our viewers that are not fully up to speed is that social media in regards to your sponsors. Like you said, a lot of folks are out there just putting content up, hoping that things, that they can get some likes, this and this. Sponsors nowadays, the way things have changed, be they, endemic to our industry or not endemic, it's not a, hey, would you mind? It's a, no, you need to, and so that extra pressure piece is obviously, they're counting on it because social media is the new, primary focus on a lot of advertising. So that's definitely.
There's a lot I did to prepare for that when I decided I wanted to fish professionally. I didn't go to school for marketing, but I did everything in my power on my own time to study marketing and psychology and everything I possibly could to get the business side of the industry down. Because, I wasn't out there smashing every tournament. I had to have another weapon in my pocket. And if you understand the business side and the fishing side, then I think you got a good mix there to get going and actually succeed. So I spent a lot of time studying marketing and things like that to just prepare myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's as much as you can add value, that seems to be the key is, I think, putting those pieces and then understanding from the people who we're looking to, the sponsors, understanding what they need, look at it through their eyes and just see, okay, how can I help that? How can I work with that? I think, dude, I can tell you what, I've been following you on social media for a lot of years, and your content has not only the quantity has gone up, but the quality of it, your video production stuff. I am so jealous every time you do that selfie thing where it blacks out the selfie pole. What the heck is that? It's like magic you're throwing out there, man.
It's all in the editing software, but it's called an 360 camera, and it's pretty crazy. The only way to explain it is I guess there's probably videos on YouTube you could watch of it. And I saw one video of that before last year, and I was like, I got to get one of those. That'll completely up my game, because I don't see a whole lot of people doing it. And once you understand the editing stuff, then you can make some pretty cool things out of it.
Just a really different perspective, on the camera.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that the camera itself actually deletes the selfie stick. So,
wow. That's like having your own production team right there. Now, you also did some, and I've wanted to know this, and my guess is it's probably just a little remote deal. I think I remember you attaching a camera of some kind to like a fishing lure and slinging it out there and pulling it back. I was like, oh no, what is that?
That was the very first video I did with that camera.
Got it. Yep.
So what I did that was I took my flipping stick with 65-pound braid, crossed my fingers, tied it to the end of my line. And it looks like I really casted it in the video, but I'm like, just kind of lobbing it out there really far. And then, I let it sink a little bit, reeled it in, set that down. And I picked up I was on Gunnersville at the time, and it was during, prime time for rattle traps. So, picked up a rattle trap, casted that a few times, caught a bass, and then cropped all the footage together to make it look like I caught the bass on the camera. So,
dude, that was fantastic. Yeah, I didn't mean to pull back the curtain there on the Wizard of Oz, but I remember watching that for sure. Well, listen, that this experience piece, on the fishing side of things is something that we've been trying to bridge the gap between some of the audience members out there that are more on the military and nonprofit side, so they understand what it is that folks do out there. So if you wouldn't mind, as much as you're comfortable, just talk about your service as a U.S. veteran, where, what branch. I know these things, but just to help folks out there.
So I spent a few years after high school. I was a sheet metal fabricator and a welder. I just felt like, my whole childhood, I was interested in the military, and I kind of wanted to be in the military. And it got to the point where I felt like if I didn't do it, that I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I gave up that career and joined the military, completely started over. I think that was in 2000, and signed my papers in 2009. And then, 6 months after I got done with basic training, I was in Iraq, was there for a year, and got back from that. And I think after Iraq is kind of when I started getting, I don't know, my mentality kind of changed a little bit. Things were just different. I wasn't really the same person I was before. And, I had good friends that were there. We all support each other in the military. We all have each other's back. And, but that's kind of when I first noticed that I wasn't kind of the same person. And then spent a little bit more time. That was at Fort Riley. I deployed with the 1st Infantry Division. And then I got orders for Korea. And I was like, man, I don't want to go to Korea. So I re-enlisted and I went to the 101st Airborne in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And when I was there, I met who is now one of my best friends, was really into bass fishing. I think he had a 1987 Bumblebee. I think it was a 14-foot bass boat.
Nice.
And we'd go lake fishing on that. And we always had a blast. We always had fun, but it didn't come to me until later what that actually did for me when we went out and fished together. When I ETS'd, got out of the military, I went straight back into fabricating. My military leave wasn't even over and I had a job already. And something was just missing. I wasn't happy. And there's really no way to explain. You don't know why you're not happy. You can't figure it out. But I thought to myself, fishing brought a lot of joy to me when I was in the military, fishing with my buddy. I'd fished my entire life. So I didn't just jump into bass fishing. I'd fished my entire life and I needed something back in my life. So I went out and bought a bass boat and started fishing local. I started fishing local derbies and got my teeth kicked in a bunch. But what I did notice is, military guys, I think we thrive under pressure. I was infantry, so chaos is my business. It was my business, and chaos is fishing, especially in tournaments, because you constantly have to make decisions. You have to make the right decisions. You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan B, and you have to have contingency plans if something goes wrong. So
when something goes wrong,
I needed something to take up my time, because when you get out, it's not so much like PTSD as it is the freedom of being able to do whatever you want is very overwhelming, and guys don't know how to deal with that. And fishing completely cured that, because it takes up all of my time now, but it did before too. All of my time that I wasn't at work, I was studying and thinking about fishing, and spending the entire winter getting ready for the season, just waiting for the ice to thaw. And I think if more veterans were introduced to fishing, not necessarily bass fishing, that's just my passion. There's a ton of different kinds of fishing out there, but just to get that feeling, because when you're fishing, you don't think about anything else but fishing. Your mind gets completely erased. You don't think about anything else but catching the next fish.
That's right.
And veterans just need that mental break. And I think that's a huge thing that fishing brings to the veteran community, not only veterans, but people in general that are just struggling. I've had a lot of veterans reach out to me on my social media and, tell me that I've helped them in something that I've done. I've given them drive again, which, getting into this, I never wanted to be a millionaire. I don't care about being a millionaire. Of course, you need money to make the wheels go around, but it's more about helping as many people as I possibly can because of what it did for me. And I can honestly say that I'm the happiest I've ever been now.
That's awesome.
Doing what I'm doing. And if I can do that for just one other person in my career, then it makes it all worth it. If I can change one life, he might change 2 lives, and then keeps going, So,
and man, I just, first and foremost, before I have, you mentioned several things. Before I say into those, first and foremost, thank you. You don't hear it enough. You need to hear it more. Thank you for all that you've done, given, continue to do. From just literally, I'm not a veteran myself. The name of our podcast is a title I was given by a fellow veteran at one of the deals that I went to, which was a True Patriot. And I can't tell you how much that changed. So from a patriot of the United States, thank you, Doug, for everything. And yeah, so I wanted to get that out there, obviously, first and foremost. But There were a couple points that you hit on here, and one of the ones that really stuck out there was two of them here. Fishing started to feel different. You talked about that you fished your entire life and you've been fishing, but coming back, from service and experiences, all of a sudden fishing had a different impact now. That piece there, that recreational therapeutic piece is so real. I mean, science is in agreement that, medical science agrees there is something here that it's helping folks, not just veteran folks, but also, just anyone working through anxiety, or anything that they're working on the mental health side. And so that was such a cool transition moment that you mentioned, that all of a sudden now fishing still loved it, but man, it was doing something a little bit more. Didn't know what it was, but you could damn sure feel the difference in it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's several of the nonprofits we work with all deal, that's kind of one of the key factors is they have to work in that recreational therapy piece for us to get involved. But one of the other pieces on the service side, Dan Timmons, who is a co-founder of the Allegiance Ranch and Rescue, they rescue horses from kill house situations, rehab them, and then those horses actually are available to veterans, first responders to come ride, care for, take care of. It's a really cool setup, and it's only a few miles from my house. But he had this statement that we take 10, 12 weeks to recruit, but then we take about 3-4 days to decruit. And a lot of times the civilian world, we don't get that. We've missed that because we haven't lived that experience to understand it. That, like you hit the nail right on the head, man. There's structure. And then all of a sudden, we're in a different set of rules here now. And so, yeah,
it's very hard to explain. I'm sure the veterans that are listening, they're going to understand exactly what I'm saying.
Yep.
And all I can say to that, just don't quit. You just got to find a reason, something that drives you. It doesn't have to be fishing, like you had mentioned horses. I don't have much experience, but I know there can be a huge connection with horses because they have their own personalities. They're like dogs, big dogs, from what I understand. I don't know, but
there's something there, something spooky.
You got to find something that gives you drive again. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just fishing for me. I highly suggest trying it because it could definitely change your life, but just find something.
Yep.
We're sticking around. So,
well, and that's part of the mission, man. That's we always we've made it a point on our side, and this is where we can't thank you enough. We always try to stay on that positive tip. I think there's enough focus on the negative side, the whys. We know why. You know what I mean? And if you don't know why, then you probably should turn this video off, because you're probably not going to like anything that we have to say. And I'm okay with you not watching, but we all know the whys. At the end of the day, it's that outreach, man, and just keep helping these. And that's why, doing this type of platform is so huge. So let's go ahead and switch some gears here. So now I know, I've had a chance to see some of your career because we our paths passed through the Great Lakes division up there. But when did you know that, all right, I think I want to jump in this blender and go do this for a complete living? Because we talked about this off camera. For those folks that are unaware of what's involved in this, it sounds really good, but man, there is so much more to this. When did you decide that's it? I'm doing this. I'm trading in the sheet metal, not doing the 9 to 5 anymore. And in we go. When did that happen for you?
I would say the second year after I started tournament fishing up here again.
Wow.
I decided this is what I wanted to do. And I made a 5-year plan. It's going faster than 5 years as of right now, but I made a 5-year plan. And like I said, a lot of that was studying marketing and getting a handle on the business side of things, so I wasn't completely overwhelmed and out of my realm when I did decide to actually quit my job and pursue this full time. There's a lot more to this than a lot of people realize. Small business owners will understand probably to an extent. You never stop working. I mean, it just never stops. You're constantly, like, I'm my own tax accountant. I'm my own social media guy. I fish tournaments and try to make money that way. There's multiple things that you have to do during a day, and that's on top of making sure that your partners, that your sponsors are happy with you. You got to make sure you're satisfying everything that you have in your contracts. It's a full-time job. I would say that the business side of things is probably 70%, and fishing is 30%. And if you just remain consistent, I think that you're going to have a really solid foundation to stand on and continue to grow your career. So,
if you don't mind me asking, this is something that is only going to really resonate with guys that are doing what we're doing. How do you approach that? Because I can tell you from my early stages of us doing this is my biggest challenge. And that is, you said it so perfectly. It never stops. I mean, dude, I'll stay up till, sometimes 11:30, 12 o'clock working on video or doing whatever. I go lay down in bed. My wife's already been asleep and it's just running in my head, and so it just never quits. And one of the dangers in that is, as anybody who's been around angling of any kind, especially competitively, dude, if you're not 100% in when you're on the water, you're missing things that are going on. You're not paying attention to those little subtle changes that could key you onto movement, of fish. How do you balance that, man, as far as putting the business, tablet away for a while when you get on deck, of your boat and trying to go to work? Because I mean, you're fishing against, some of the best anglers in the nation out there, at the NPFL. This is pro level fishing. This isn't regional, type stuff. So, I mean, how do you compete, against those guys and figure that out?
Well, I'd say you have to find a balance between what's expected of you and what you need to do. So, like on a typical like practice day or a pre-practice day, I'll give myself a list of things that I need to do for that day. Like I need to get some photos or video content for X sponsor. And then the first thing I do when I go out is take care of that. I will get that done. And then once that's shut off, I concentrate on fishing. So you have to be able to compartmentalize what you do on a day-to-day basis. And it makes it a lot easier, instead of, going out, I'm excited to fish every time I go. But I understand that if I don't do what I need to do, I won't be fishing anymore. So you have to prioritize and compartmentalize and make sure you have all your ducks in a row during the day. And
that's huge.
On the thing that matters is the fishing and portraying a good image for not only the fans, but the league and everyone else involved. So
that's huge, man. That's a sound piece of advice there. That's a cool deal, creating that list piece. So you get that achievement in your, mental, playing mental games with yourself, basically type thing. I have to do that. It was one of the ways I was able to kick the smoking habit after 28 years was playing games with myself, going, I know me well enough. I don't like being told what to do. So I'm not going to tell myself what to do because I'm not even going to like when I do it.
Well, and another part of that too, is you gotta, even when you're not in competition during tournaments, you have to compete with yourself.
Right.
I'm competing with myself to come up with new ideas for short TikTok videos to make them even crazier than last time, or concentrated on getting those views on TikTok or Instagram Reels. And you have to keep that up to date, because you're going to get passed if you don't. And the easiest way to do that is to compete with yourself. So
that's awesome.
It's going to sound dumb, but I go back and watch my own videos and I'll see where I started and where I'm at now. And I'm like, man, I got to top that. Like, but I can do it. So
that's awesome stuff. And for the viewers that don't know, we'll be throughout the entire interview here, we'll be putting your social media channels up. It'll be going across the screen. I highly encourage you to go check out Doug's social media stuff. He's got some really, really cool things that happen out there. He's inspired me a ton in watching this, although I haven't done the TikTok thing yet. I saw you jump in and I'm like, oh no, that means I'm going to have to sooner or later. But yeah,
my first video go over 100,000 views. I think it was last week.
Wow. That's awesome.
But it's a milestone to me. I think it's at 135,000 right now.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah, that's I've been getting told that we just haven't figured that out, and my time can only be spread out between like 3 channels right now.